the subsector of Ushisanyama as a whole, I created it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I packaged it.
You're really that person that came up with this. Chisanyama is a thing. 11 door after you, after Busy Corner. Corner now we started seeing the pop-up thing at. Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital with myself, Ursula Mariani, and our lovely co-host, Bonga Bueta. How are you, girl?
I'm good, sis. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you. Given, are you mic'd up?
Yes, I'm mic'd up. I'm here.
That's awesome. So I remember one of the Q&As when we were doing my episode was, what books are you reading? And I got a lovely Christmas read. It's called Rising from the Township. Dr. Rita Zwane and Yamkela Koza Chwakadi, I think that's how you say her name. And I came across this book. It's basically around 10 South African entrepreneurs. And you're amazing entrepreneurs. Yeah, actually, I've got it right here. Amazing entrepreneurs. So we're talking like Legends Barbershop. We're talking, so that's Sheldon. We're talking Candace with Candy & Co. Like just their stories, what they've done, the amazing work that they've put in. The guy with Livestock Wealth, Ntutuko Shezi. So it's basically 10 mini like autobiographies of their story, where they come from, and it's individuals that have risen from the township and what that journey looks like. And when I tell you, we read books, but then some books are a gift.
Absolutely.
And as I was reading, I was like, who do I ask to come? Who can I invite? Because each story was just so like mind-boggling in the sense that you really see how life is not a straight line. I speak about it with Michelle Obama's book when I was describing Michelle Obama and what Michelle Obama's book did for me. How you understand that these successful people that we look up to get there are real hectic stories to get there. There are ups, there are downs, there are twists, there are turns to their story. And so I eventually fell on a story that I was like, I hope she can come. And we have been very graceful enough to be graced with your presence. MaZwane, hi and welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And, most people wouldn't know because I think if you don't know, Busy Corner.
Yes.
Right? Chisanyama, everybody knows it.
Yes.
But who knows that it's a woman behind it?
Right.
I would have never guessed, until the book. I said, "There's no way. There's no way." And then we get into your story. But actually, let's do justice. Let's start with Ma. Who are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
MaZwane Pumlapi, coming from KZN. I'm a grandmother of a 4-year-old and a mother of 2. A serial entrepreneur, is someone who thrives in challenging situations, and I actually love them because that's how we grow. So in a nutshell, yes, my mom who's still alive, who raised me, and I believe that she's the one who instilled that entrepreneurship culture. Yes, she cultivated it actually. Yeah, that's MaZwane.
Your name, Pumlapi. Wow. I feel like it speaks to your chapter. You did not rest at any point.
Is that what it means?
For translation, I get it. It's like, where do you rest?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When do you rest? Where do you rest? When I was reading your chapter, which of course I'm going ahead of the conversation here, but I just could not let that go past to say, you did not rest. It was one thing after the other. Even your hustling is like here, where I see an opportunity here and there. But
yes,
go.
It's a difficult one. Let's just say, I think that's the thing with reading ahead, right? Now we're just like, okay, we don't know where to start, but let's start right at the beginning. Just walk us through your journey. Where are you from? You speak of your mom, the influences of your mom, the place where maybe if you can walk us through from where you're born to when you get to Johannesburg. Let's start there.
Yep, born from Umlazi. It's in KZN. When I think I was about a teenager still, around 18, 19, when I then decided, in fact, when I came to Johannesburg, it was after my son was born. But before that, like my mom was a hustler of note. Many of, the hustling that I learned from her. Because, when you are 16 years old, today that is called child labor. I'm not sure if I should be sharing that story, but yes. But all I'm saying is that as a teenager, my mom who was a domestic worker would actually go with me to work, and I'll be watching and trying to find something to do always. But she would just make sure I'm not breaking stuff. Well, I went to high school. I finished matric at Sibusisiwe High School. But from that point, most of my friends, and one of the friends is, I spoke a lot about her in the book as well, Dr. Dudu Sibiya. She is that friend, when she saw that I was pregnant, and, after having a baby, when she went to a medical school, I was left at home. And you know the disgrace that comes with that. And parents not knowing what to do or what to say. Some children are going to higher education.
Institutions, yeah.
Yes, in institutions. And when you are left there, now you must give birth. But that friend of mine, who I always like to mention, her in particular, is that she was very supportive. And by the time, for me to get to Johannesburg, it was through her. She actually says to me after giving birth, she then says, 6 months later, you know what, I know MaZwane, you're a hard worker. I think I've got something here in Joburg, but today I'm going to tell you the truth. When she was saying she has something in Joburg, coming from KZN, she knew that they were not going to just let me go because I was very young. And that's something to do was actually cleaning, finding something to clean. Either it's in her house, it's the truth that I'm telling you today, because she was married to a doctor, so she had an extra income as well. So then that friend was actually paying me. Whilst together, as we were sitting here, we started checking the newspapers and all that to say. Back in the days, remember we were buying newspapers. Yeah, the Star. You buy newspapers, and she says, "Let's look for job."
Start again. What age do you fall pregnant?
It's 19.
So teenage pregnancy.
Teenage pregnancy.
Teenage pregnancy.
Yes. Yes.
So you stay back, and your friend then says,
I know you, my friend. In fact, my mom, who is 95 now, I was with her at home in the villages. She was saying to me, MaZwane, if I think of people that contributed in your life to be who you are, she counted them. She says, but there's one person I always pray for her. That's Dr. Dudu Sibi. But it's Dudu. Yena, she calls her Dudu because we grew up together and we're close friends. Yes. She just said, I know you. I know you don't sit still. I know you are the kind of person that make things happen. And here in Joburg, because the city of gold, that's how we call Joburg back in KZN. She says, I know you'll find something here.
And lo and behold, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Obviously, when I got to Joburg back in the days, it was a case. What is it that I actually can do now? And with only matric. So by the time Mina and I sitting together, she then says, you know what, MaZwane, maybe we can work as a waitress. And I love that story because I didn't know that for me, working as a waitress back then was actually preparing me to start Ushisanyama, because the subsector of Ushisanyama as a whole, I created it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I packaged it.
No, I love this. We were talking about it earlier. Yes. I said, you're really that person that came up with this. Ushisanyama is a thing. 11 after you, after Busy Corner. Now we started seeing the pop-ups. Yes.
So commercializing Ushisanyama, because when I was doing, all right, I'll get to Ushisanyama. Yes. But the story that I love sharing when I was working as a waitress, coming from KZN, even understand menu. I don't even understand what is the menu, number one. Two, let alone the drinks. When my brothers Pela sent me, they are sending you to the next ship, tavern to just buy your summer leg, your stout. Yeah. And now this is a place that is so formal in the city of Joburg, with blue purple lights and all.
Pina colada.
Yes, exactly. Because I was young, at that age, still young, looking very good. And I'm sure they thought, she knows the story, this one. Until someone ordered gin and the tonic. That's how I learned what is gin and tonic. And when I got to the counter, I saw someone having something like, it was not a tonic, it was lemonade. And I thought, okay, what did he say? I think it's lemonade. Then I put gin and lemonade. I took it back. The first time they thought, okay, maybe she made a mistake back, and they gave me a tonic again. 3 days later, they realized that no. This one is not cut out for this. And I was fired. I was sad. But I had made good tips. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But okay, you start off, is that your first job when you get this side?
When I get to Joburg. Let me remember.
Yeah, because I was also struggling. There were many
There
jobs.
were many.
Yes. At a salon at some point. Yes.
At what do you say?
At the law firm.
Yes. No, there were many. Because even as a domestic worker, for that matter, because when I got fired there, that friend of mine, I call her now that I understand, a strategist. She had someone she liked in Durban, and there was a domestic job for a domestic worker. She got that person to go to work as a domestic worker. She was older than both of us. So when I got fired, I didn't have even a place to stay. Now she hooked me up to stay with the other one, because as domestic worker, she had an accommodation. Yes. And for that period, I worked at Kilane. Yes, I think I shared that in my book as well. I was working at Kilane because I was since I had no income, I started helping her, as she's preparing, the room, and it's something that I already had the experience from my mother. And I also work at one shop downtown Joburg where they were making bandages, and we were getting and we were getting a bandage factory.
And I remember you said your retrenchment package when it closed down was 2,500 and something.
There it was somewhere else again.
Oh, it was the law firm. It was the secretary job.
Yes, it was the secretary job.
We could do this the whole interview. That's how many jobs were
Yeah. So yes, but I got 2,000, just under 3,000. I think it was about, because I was earning about how much? But it was under 3,000 rand. I always say, for me, just that 3 months where I was fired, and where I lost the job because the company had to sort of like liquidate them. Yes. And today when I see the scooters, doing my deliveries and all that, and just yesterday I saw a girl that was in the scooter, a very young girl, and I thought to myself, at some point, when I left that job with 3,000 rand, I had to decide, with the under 3,000 rand, what do I do with this money? Do I go and, I'm young, buy something to look good, or do I go and got a code 2? I was even thinking of code 2. When we grew up, when you have code 2, at least you're looking at working in a post office, at a post office, because then you'll be doing mail deliveries. Those are things that were going through my mind. And then I was thinking, but I only have matric. Even if I want to be hired, where with matric, then again, that's when I took that money from that job, and I did a 6-month secretary course at Green Oaks in Joburg. Yes. And a lot happened there. Yeah. But as soon as I got that certificate, a friend of mine who Candice Haley, one thing, I easily make friends. That friend of mine who Candice Haley, that when we retrenched with her, she actually even got me to learn how to drive using her car, because she was also saying, there is something, MaZwane. There is something.
This is what I wanted to get to. I wanted to get to Destiny Helpers, because you keep mentioning them. And this Candice girl for me is one of them. Because you work together, I think, at the law firm, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And during the lunch break, she says, let me teach you how to drive.
Yes.
What a blessing.
Yes.
Yes, because for a particular promotion, you needed to have a license, ne?
Yes. For that promotion, I needed to have a license, because the company was growing. In fact, it was more, not a law firm, it was more a computer company. It was a computer company, that one, where I was with Candice. But they were also getting into, what do you call this, getting insurances. They were sort of like diversifying. And they thought, because we want to approach the mines, there is a black girl here, Upumlapi. And, she's open. I mean, I make things happen. Yeah. We can just give her training, but she must get a license. That's when Candy started to say, okay, you know what? Use my car. What about Golf 2 back in the days? Those Nina, you won't know, sorry. With this. You won't. Those white, yellow, golds, blue. Yes. But she was very kind. And what I was sharing earlier is that the minute I finished that secretarial course, she called me. She knew because she even helped me with the money. Yeah, a lot comes out from in my book because I didn't have money to pay for the full course. Yes. Yeah, then I said to her, I don't know where I'm going to get Umashonisa or who's going to help me. She did help me with some money. Yet we were both retrenched. And the minute I finished, she had it in her calendar that she's going to finish the course on this date. The following day, she called me because she was working for an employment company, recruitment company. Recruitment company, yes. The minute I finished, she called the following day. And I was amazed that she knew that I'm actually finishing that Friday. The following day, she says, I work for a recruitment company, Rita. I've got an interview lined up for you. Please come on Monday.
What a girl. This is amazing.
But it simple shows, the help that when you are outside and you feel like you are on your own, you do find people, good Samaritans, that are willing to however way they can help. But only when they see, people do that when they see that, but this one has got a drive.
You help yourself as
At
well.
the end yes. So with all the jobs where I was working, the last one when I decided to open Ushisanyama, coming back here to Ushisanyama, it was a restaurant again.
But also let's backtrack to one of the jobs you're working at a salon. I'm sorry, I don't want to miss any parts of the story because it was that one of the points you're working at a salon and you don't have accommodation.
Yes.
So you start saying, hey guys, tell the story. I'm about to tell you a story for you. Yeah, what happened at the salon, with regards to accommodation? Yes.
Yes. So I didn't have accommodation, obviously. That story, when I think about it now, and I'm thinking that back during those days, the crime was not as much, and there were people that were more like big sisters to you and mothers. Because the owner of the salon, she didn't know that in the evening when they close, Mina, I don't go out. I sleep in the couch. And until somehow the security in the actual building, like something is happening here, then she asked me, and I'm saying, no, I actually don't have a place to sleep. And but I didn't want anyone to ever tell my mother or my family at home, because as much as it was a 4-room house, and with my mom, when we were all like 5, 6 of us, I had a bed. And I had a comfortable place to sleep. So I didn't want my mom to know that, because she was going to send someone to come to Joburg and fetch me. And that's not what I wanted. So that lady, what she then did, because she had her daughter also working at the salon, she then says, okay, fine. They were not even calling me MaZwane. It was Rita. Okay, fine, Rita. Once you're finding a place to stay, what I'm going to do, I will let my daughter sleep over in the evening with you so that you are not alone. At least that way you are safe. Yes.
Wow.
Instead of just maybe firing me, or
She said, don't sleep alone here.
She says, don't sleep alone. I'll get my daughter to sleep with you. So to sleep over every evening. But then I was a good salesperson because I was bringing customers.
Okay. Yeah,
from that floor, I think it was maybe about 5th or 7th floor at GP Street. Every morning, then by 7, because I was sleeping in the building, I was, I needed to be up very early in the morning.
Yes.
So when everyone comes, I'm ready with my body. The minute the door opens downstairs, I'm standing on the pavement and I'm going. You want to do your braids? You want to do your perm? We're doing perm. The fashion was perm, permed hair. Yeah, so she was good, and I was happy with that, because now when she looks back, there were days when I was back at Tembisa, then she came, because somehow she found out where I was, and she came to me and she says, I just wanted to check how you are, and I'm so glad, you are making it for yourself now. But the beautiful story that I think Ashla wants me to get to, it's more to do with how I got to Tembisa. Because when I was standing outside, a friend of my friend in Durban saw me. I wanted to hide. Trust me. You know why I wanted to hide? Because I've left home, and to go back, people hearing from home that She actually left home and she's here just standing with the pots and, you know, getting people to come and do their hair. You know how it's like. I was young. I was young, you know. But when she saw me, she just, Pumlapi. And I thought, okay, she can see me. I can't even hide because that's my home name. Yeah, she took me, there was a wimpy there where she took me inside the wimpy to have a baker. And I think I had not had a baker, I don't know in how many months. And she says, you know what, I stay in Tembisa. Where do you stay? I was embarrassed to tell her that I actually stay in the salon. Sure. But before she left, I had to tell the truth. And she says to me, next week, I'll come, pass by here, pack your bag, we'll go and visit Tembisa. That's how busy corner. If we were to talk about busy corner, were it not be for that lady who took me to Tembisa. And then again, when I was in Tembisa, now I'm Isekasi, guys. I tell you, I use your language, Ekasi.
Yeah. Please.
Then when Mangehla eTexini, ibuzz and everything. Yes, it felt like Nsemlazi. It felt like finally I'm home. You know, I'm looking at things that are familiar, behaviors that are familiar in Malokshini. You know, where you come and this is a young girl and everyone wants to know, who's this one? And I got comfortable. And the owner, she was actually squatting herself. She got me to come with her without telling the owner of the house, and yet she too was squatting. The owner of the house was working at Eskom and they had just gotten those bonded houses. Yes. So she was staying alone. So she liked her. And when so they were staying about 6 months before I came. And then she was saying, when you come in the afternoon, there is the young girl and sitting and thinking, oh my goodness, I love this house. I hope they don't chase me. I would love to stay here than stay in a saloon, you know. And when she comes, who's this girl now? And she says, okay, it's my friend from Durban. I hope she's not going to stay long. Is she leaving tomorrow on Monday? And she says, no, she's working in Joburg. She's going to leave on Monday. Those 2 days, Angithi mina from my mother now, whenever I see something like Engolile, I could not help it back then and maybe even now. But those 2 days, I started cleaning the house. And not because I was buying the favor. Yes. It's natural. Yes. The second day, when she left for work in the morning on Monday, she said, are you coming back in the afternoon? Yes. I looked at her with that innocent face. Did you really ask me that question? Yes, I'm coming back. And Ubusi, my friend, just, you know, went. Yes. And from that point again, that's when I started selling at the train station. Because I went to the salon, I think 2-3 times. And then the cost, you know, the transport was too much. Yes. And when I came back, I thought, I'm not going to go there. I got comfortable. She said, don't get comfortable, but I did. And Ubus was saying, rather stay here, Pela. Your money from here from Tembisa to Joburg, you're finishing the money, rather stay here. And then a week later, when she realized it, she said, are you not going to work? I said, hey, the transport money is too much, but I have an idea. I saw your wardrobe is full. And you know what? I can do a jump sale as long as we agree on the percentage.
Wait, this is not Busi. This is the.
It's the other one now. And I said to Mustande, you know what? I saw your wardrobe is full. Yeah. So I can sell some of the clothes, but let's agree on the percentage before. She says, are you really gonna do that? I said, yeah, I will. Over the weekend, Friday when she came back, she took most of the stuff out. Then I got a white. Said, just give me a white sheet. Got into a taxi, went to what is this? I've forgotten the station name in Tembisa. I'll remember. I went to yes. I went to the station and I just put the sheet down, all the clothes, and I checked quickly. I knew that from here, I'm sure I'm gonna make 1,500. And I made about 1,800. Wow. Finished everything. It was within 3 hours. Then I came back to her smiling and, you know, a young girl, Pela. Guess what? She says, what? I sold everything. And then I said, okay, can I have my 50%, please? And then she says, remember, you're not renting here. I'll give you 40%. But it was, that was that. Yeah. And from that point again, that's when again, where I was saying earlier, I met Candice Haley in MaZwane. because then it was easier to leave from your house to Tembisa to go to Kempton Park or Midrand and see if I can find places there. Yeah, but I did not stop with Jambusay, because even when I had a full-time job, I would look at people that are coming in, look how Ashla is working and see that. But for 3 months, because I saw that, for 3 months we have this person, I have not seen this person wearing something different. Then I'll approach that person to say, have you got clothes in your house that I can sell? I'll take a certain share and I'll give you the money. Then they started bringing plastics, of clothes.
Wow.
Sure.
Because to be honest, I'd like that service right now.
Right?
Right? Because I don't have the heart to sell, but yes. So you were seeing the gap wherever you went. You know what's highlighting for me throughout your story that I love, because I love the term a destiny helper, somebody that comes in. The first one in your story for me is when your sister says, leave your baby.
Yes.
The first person that really gives a helping hand when you're sitting and your friend is saying, come to Joburg, and you're looking at your baby and your mom says, I'm not raising a baby. And your sister then says, I'll raise the baby, go to Joburg. So there's constantly these, and I don't know whether it's your ability to acknowledge these people or really it's your story. At every turn point, there's someone who says, hi, Bo, let me help you, and just walk us through that journey, because for me, that was what was warming my heart throughout the story, to say, we don't know who's going to be our destiny helper. Like you said, when Busi saw you, Kim Savandikwenye.
Yes.
I'm ashamed. Kanti, this is the person who's going to take you to a step closer to your destiny.
My sister passed on 2018. May her soul rest in peace. And there was a time when my son knew, but it's not just me only with this. I think it's with us in black communities, when your mother raises your child and your child end up thinking the grandmother is actually the mother.
Absolutely.
So my child ended up thinking my sister is actually the mother.
Yes.
But up until a time when I go to Durban, driving the cars and everyone was saying, Umaga Senzo. And then he will start saying, okay, she's my mom. And but the part with my sister is that she played a very important role as well. That's the sisterhood, what she did for me. Because it makes sense. My mom were 7 of us, and she actually raised us when, I'll tell you about Pumlapi, when my dad had passed on. And all she was saying, for my mom, it was a matter of principle. Because now when I talk to her, she says, I knew that if I had accepted to raise your child, it means everybody else was going to raise their child, and I was not going to do that. And that is when my sister says, you know what, go to Joburg, it's fine, leave the child, I'll look after him. But, there was a but. She says, if you get to Joburg and you get the second one, I will bring this one.
Yes.
So you raise both of them there. And actually that part, because Usenzo is actually the only son I have, and then the daughter that I have, Unolwazi, it was after what my sister had done for me.
Yes.
When I saw a cousin of mine also still at school raising a 2-year-old, and I thought, she's still at school, she must be going through what I went through. I said to her, if you have trouble or struggles to raise this child, let me know. The following week she called me, she said, Sisi, did you really mean it? We do not know as now the girl. I said, yeah, I meant it. She says, okay, Usi is still my sister again. She's going to be coming to Joburg to see you. I'm thinking that maybe how about when she comes with her? I said, oh yes, bring her. Because when I saw Nolo as young as she was at 2.5, I just felt in love with that young girl. But at the same time, I wanted to help someone the same way that I was helped. So yeah, she's also a grown-up, 27-year-old child now. I mean, I still say a child, but a woman. Yeah. So that's the story where the role that my sister played today. Because if she probably said, you know what, now I've got stuff to do. Raising a child is no child's play. But sometimes when I go home, I'll take a bus and go home, and following morning I get there, it's about 5-6, and I'll find them sleeping in one bed. And I'm thinking that those days we didn't have phones. I was, like cuddling Usenzo as though it's her son. And I wish I had taken those moments, but again, we didn't have
phones and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure even your son's relationship with her was close until the last day.
Yes.
Because that's an undeniable bond that they had. And throughout the book, you speak of working hard to bring your son to Joburg. Because ultimately you were like, I want him here. I want to have a bond with my child.
Yes. When I look back and I realize that sometimes, Ashla, when you push yourself hard and you always need to have a reason. We all have different reasons why we're pushing ourselves hard. And I look back and I'm thinking that as much as when I had to Senzo at 20, it was tough. But he actually is the person who made me to push myself so hard, because I wasn't doing it just for myself. I was always thinking there is a child that I left at home, and there is a certain, in the late season that I want him to grow up. Yes. There are struggles that I faced that I don't want him to face. And coming back to Upumlap, because when my mom called me Upumlap, it was after my dad has passed on, but I do share in the book how that was a tragic story. A very sad tragic story how my dad passed on. And my mom basically says, where am I going to rest now?
Sure.
Because she was coming from the villages, remember?
Yes.
They had not even spent more than a year in the township in Umlazi. They had just gotten those houses, that forum house around, so they were still both very happy, my dad and my mom, to say, okay, now we have a place where we can raise our children and we can take them to school. All that. And unfortunately, when my dad passed on, when my mom was 6 months pregnant of me, when I was born, then she says, where am I going to rest? Because it looks like my life is never going to have peace. Sure. I've got these mouths to feed, and the husband is no longer there. And today, my mom would look at me, 95, and still so by. So in terms of
her mind,
she's blessed there, and I wish I could take her. Okay, let me say, I pray I take her chins.
Yes.
Yeah, and she says, Pumlapi, when I look back today to say when you were born, and those few years, it was all sad, sorrows, stories, and all that. But today, you are actually the one who's looking after me.
You are my rest.
You my rest. Yes. Not that I'm the youngest, but it's always the case here. The youngest end up and being a woman, a girl at the same time, because we were 5 boys and 2 girls, and my sister passed on. And my mom would look at 95. She says, when I look back now to say, you know what? If I wanna go to the villages, you make sure I get there. Hospital, everything. She's like our baby as a family, but more like mine now. And she says, God answered my prayers.
Sure.
And then I want to move now. We're going into now you're in Tembisa. We're now moving into the main story. With regards to
Okay.
Now Duka. So you get there, you get to Tembisa. Just tell us what happened.
All right.
Especially the containers. We are starting our shop.
Basically, let's get to business now.
Yes.
Yeah. How you could.
Yes. Even Mama, even want you to talk about the swapping of houses, everything, Ma. I want everything.
But we want people to buy the book,
There's 10 other entrepreneurs in there, and go get it, guys.
Okay, yes. Then when I got to Tembisa with a friend of mine here, when I found that job, and moving from one job to another up until I got stability when I was working for a big that computer company, a Q data, and I was able to buy a car, because always when a dreamer, Vuyo is a big dreamer.
Yeah, that's you.
When you're sitting in the taxi and you're looking at people driving past the taxis, you see those big cars, and you think one day, not that when is it, but one day. Then when I finally got a stable salary, and that salary was about, to be honest, stable. I think back in the day it was about 3,500, not even more than 4,000. But then I thought I can buy a car now. I went straight, found a car. I came back. I was very happy. And even amongst my colleagues, hey, Rita has got a car now, those that I could give a lift, I was giving a lift. Come month and I was paying for a car. And then the following month, hey, Bo, Pella, it's petrol. It's the installment. It's the insurance. this 4,000, I'm actually left with nothing. My goodness. And now, then I go back, to, what do you call it when you go back, not to my mom's factory mode, let me put it that way, to say, factory setting, you've got to do something, MaZwane. That just quickly kicked in to say, there is no way that you can live with this money and with all these expenses. Then I started looking for a waitressing job. I got it at the 10 restaurant in Rivonia. That was, I ended up with 3 jobs because as I was sitting at the reception, where I was working, and I would see people coming to deliver computers, computer parts, because it was a computer company, right? And then I asked that person to say, after realizing that, Pela, I'm not going to be able to live with this money and with all these other expenses. She says, no, actually, I work for a private company. Someone is contracted in this company where I was full-time to do the deliveries. I said, okay, give me your boss's details. Then I phoned that day. I said, don't you need another car? I've got sort of like those called so like panel vans. Yes. I said, don't you need another car? And he says, okay, where are you from? Then I told him, I said, look, I've just bought a car and I need an extra income. Come and see me over the weekend. This side, I'm busy checking the work for waitressing. And then I got it like almost simultaneously.
Sure.
But the gap was about 2 weeks. Then I had to hire someone to drive the car. Come month end, I have not started at the restaurant. My goodness, why do you remind me that story? When you're saying, because it's too much expenses and compared to my salary, let me get a job and let me hire someone. Forgetting that person still needs to pay. I'm gonna need more petrol now, and by maybe 30 days or 45 days, that will mean the car when warranties and all that, and everything just came in front of me. That's when the reason why I'm saying why reminding me that, because this is a story when I went to Mashonisa, because I needed to pay my driver, and I had to go to Mashonisa who took my card back then. Oh, Mashonisa pela new. It depends what you go to Mashonisa for. Yes. And I got the money to pay this guy. I could not wait to start at the restaurant. That's when I had 3 jobs. My car was doing waitressing. I was working full time. In the afternoon, the same driver will have to drop me off at Rivonia to go and work over the weekend. And I had already brought Senzo back.
So you're a mom.
So now exactly. Now I'm a mom. And but the beautiful story that came out of that is that finally that's when I got my first customer when I wanted to start Ushisanyama. Because from that point, I knew this is still not enough. Because I was looking at the life that I wanted to live, the life that I wanted for my son. And I look at the salary and at all this extra income that I'm getting, I knew that it's still not going to give me the life that I want. And by the time, then I was walking around the streets of Tembisa to say, what else can I do? Actually, now thinking about it to say, I've always known from KZN that I'm a business person. I'm an entrepreneur. Before I even knew the word entrepreneur. Remember, we're coming from old school, Pelatina guys. That old school, I'm an entrepreneur. So, that kicked in again to say, okay, check what you can do. That's when I was walking around the streets of Tembisa and I saw the demand in Ivory Park was still a newly established township. And, the infrastructure was still not there. Then I saw the container meeting place container. I went there, I asked, who are the owners of this container? They told me they are in Isando. That weekend, I went to Isando with my high heels, coming from work, pay. Makeup and everything, pay. Like I was working in the office. So when I got there, they looked at me, they said, are you sure you want to do this? And those brothers, till today, we're still friends. And they were saying, when we saw you walking in with the high heels, we thought, is this girl gonna make it under the heat in the township? Because she looks like she's coming from an air-conditioned office,
And you said, listen.
And I said, listen, I will make it. I got the containers. What inspired then me to say, it can't be just about pap and place, because I had a bigger vision. To say, from where I was working at the restaurant, by the time I eventually left the restaurant.
Ma, can I ask about when do you make the jump from working and saying, okay, I need to stop working now, Kishabanalidi container? Because I think it's important for me to ask this, because I think that's a contentious space for any entrepreneur, leaving the 9-to-5 security and jumping to say, okay, I'm going to trust that this container is going to work? Is it as soon as you get the container, you say, no, I'm going to start selling? Or do you wait a few months trying to do both? Yeah.
I like that question. I like it because when people used to ask me a lot that question, especially when I'm asked to go and motivate or, I would get those questions. No. The minute, the profit, I need to remember I was selling a makwinya at home. My mom was doing a makwinya, so I knew what goes in and comes, what goes out and comes in must be a bit more.
Yes.
The minute I was able to make a profit that was almost, in fact, that was more than my monthly salary. I was able to make 3 times that profit. That was more than my monthly salary. Then I knew it's time to leave and give this a chance. So that was it.
Okay, so you were always playing both.
Yes,
both,
I was working full time and with a container, but I knew the salary and the income that I was getting from the other, side jobs.
Yes.
But the minute my profit was 3 times,
what you were
not
getting.
just what was 3 times what I was getting this
Thank
side.
you for this.
Then I knew, that's it. Let me go and give it a try. I remember because when I left work, there was medical aid, and for some whatever reason, the minute I went to, I took this one as a full time to say, let me focus in the business. 2 months later, I remember, oh no, I don't have a medical aid, because those are the packages that makes it, that gives you security.
Yes.
That I remember that I thought, should something happen to my son, what must I do? And that package, at least because it was 3 times the amount, I was able to say, okay, I'll continue to pay medical
from
aid.
my own salary.
My own salary, because I was getting a profit that is 3 times what I was getting this side.
And these are the reality. These are the things that keep us sometimes in employment.
Yes.
When you think about trying to have medical aid. But if you're honest with yourself and you're saying, but I'm getting more.
Yes.
Like you're saying, this medical aid now must come from my salary.
Yes.
Okay. And then now you start with container 1.
Yes. I started with container 2, 1 which was in Ivory. I went with container 2, which is busy corner now. Yes. That one when the first one, for me, when I was trying, because it was a case of reading the market. It's not a book, but I would drive around in the evening. How I got the market is that at 12 or 1 in the evening, I would drive around that area. It may not be the same now like what we were doing in our time. And when there are 2 or 3 or 4 people walking there, then you've seen the spot, but you say, let me go and check. 2, 4 people, 5 walking there, you think, okay, there's an opportunity here. So from the first one to the second one, Epony Park, because it was new, there were no shops, like what you see now around the busy corner. Literally, we were using, I don't know what you call it, sigela, to cut the grass, or bushu, to cut the grass, to put those containers. And we put the first containers, and of course, we had a reputation from the first one that our meat is fresh.
Ma, you keep saying container. Maybe let's just establish in container.
Shipping container, 6x2 meter shipping container.
Unorikisa frozen meat,
fresh meat.
Fresh meat.
It was more like a butchery.
Yes.
Yeah, a convenient
this is
butchery.
What I'm trying to get
yes,
at.
yes,
Okay.
Yes, that was it. Yeah. So when I put the second one there, it was a case of, it was the meat. Then I said, in fact, I started with chicken. I thought, because I'm selling meat up the road, let me put chicken here. A day I would sell 4 chicken. And I was thinking that these are other things that, when I talk to sometimes young people, to say, give your business a chance. Give it that 6 months to first year to see if there is a business or not. But once you've done that, give it another 5 years. Because you can only, it's 5 years that you need to know that this business now, it's a business, it's established. You need that. But the first 6 and 12 months, it tests your patience. Because if you get the container, the first time I sold the amount that I got, I think it was under 100 rand, 97 rand. Sure. In the container, that just fell first day. So with the second one again at Epony Park, same thing happened. 4 chicken, you can imagine. And then 2 months, 3 months later, people started saying, why don't you put the same meat as what you have in Ivory Park? Because walking from here to that side, then I put the second container. That's when busy corner started. And this taught me something. Sometimes with your customers, I share that in the book. You sometimes listen to them. Have a vision, know what you want and where you're going, and then give your customers an ear. They will give you such advice. There were those that would coming from outside South Africa. They would even give us music to play, to say, we like Abum Chukotsi, but you don't play them. We'll get you a CD, and then we'll play CDs. And people started coming in. Then it became busy corner. Then the challenge again.
Wait, when do you start buying the meat, Sorry. When do you go from selling fresh meat to let's braai it?
Right from the beginning, it was braaiing.
Okay.
It was the grill.
Okay.
But then we moved to coals. Because we wanted a certain taste.
Yeah. Ooh,
yes. But at the same time, from the containers, then the business grew to what you see today, busy corner, to what my son shared with me, because I didn't have that, what do you call it, the poster. My son actually sends or shared it with me to say, hey, look, Ma, we got this, you know. From that time, again, it was a case of saying, now I'm growing the business. And that's when I learned that every growth has got its own sets of challenges.
Yes.
The biggest challenge there that I had moving from a container, where expense, the cost of running a business was not so much. Now I want to put a formal building so that I'm able to, to go to the bank and all that. And I had already gotten an RDP house. That's the story that most people like to know. How did you get a peace corner? Because those were residential properties. Yes. But I'd already gotten an RDP house back then that I had renovated. Yes. Because I could see, when you have a vision, now everything in front of you, you set it up. You are the only one that you can see. Like what I said before I bought my car in the book. Yes. To say, Mastende was saying, are you crazy? What are you looking at? And that time I was catching a taxi, and Mastende was saying, in the evening, she saw the curtain open. I was saying to her, no, I'm looking at my car. She came, she says, but there's no car here. And I said, no, don't worry. I see my car.
Don't I see it?
So same story again with Ipizi Corner now, as Ushisanyama. And I decided to say, you know what, I'm going to swap the house that I had already renovated and get these 3 stands. But the strategy was to start in the middle.
Yes.
I started in the middle. It's a corner, a house, this one and that one. And this one, I just sold a beautiful story to her, the one who was in the middle. I said, no, what you do, go to my house. Come see my house. You see this house? I will swap it. Take my house, I will come and stay in 1.5 room. It was literally 1.5 room that I stayed in. Mine was already renovated.
Can I interject here, Ma? There's a time where you say our time is thingy. Yeah, we don't have much time. But there's a time in the book where you talk about realizing that I need to make a sacrifice, and I need to, and that's when you say, I'm going to sacrifice my house that I've renovated. And now you're stepping into a house that isn't what your house is, and you do a direct swap because you don't have the money to buy that house, and that was something for me to say. How much are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to sacrifice? And how much do you
believe in your vision?
Yes. And it was after reading a book, which is why I'm happy that when Dr. Zwane got us to write, 10, when they wrote 10 of these chapters and telling our stories, because it was exactly that after I went to Cape Town. I think it was the first 5 years that I did not take a holiday. But when I went to Cape Town, I got to an exclusive book, and I got a book by John Maxwell. It was saying a roadmap for success. I bought that book. On my way back, I finished it. I finished the last chapter from Cape Town. That is when I took just that line, winners know what to give up in order to succeed. Yes. And I just got that line before I landed back from Cape Town.
Sure.
And I already then I knew to say, okay, what sacrifice? I must just give up my house for the dream and the vision. Like, what are you willing? Because it's your dream. But what are you willing to give up? I gave up my house.
Wow.
Sure.
By the time I moved to the other person, because the one who was at the corner was the last one that I approached. I had to approach the other one and then go to the corner again. Because
and
I
to
knew
understand what happened when for her to get the corner house, you must buy the book.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise, now we are giving away the whole book.
Yes. That was a strategy. Yeah.
Sure, Ma. Thank you so much for your time.
No, before
I
we
do
wrap
want
up,
to. I also want to give. Okay, I want to give an opportunity for you to share with us, certain nuggets of some of the lessons that you've come. You've shared quite a bit of the challenges, but Bonga, yes.
You know what I love about your story and you. There are black women looking at you right now, and they can't believe Busy Corner is yours.
Absolutely.
So the representation,
absolutely,
and there's many older women who are sitting with ideas and thinking how MaZwane ki she looks just like me. I can do it.
Absolutely.
You know, even little girls, even us. I told you, after reading the chapter, I was like, do you ever feel like you are not doing enough with the resources you have? Yes. You made me feel like a bonga, you are playing.
Yes.
You have a supportive family. You have all the resources. What are you doing to chase these things that you have in your head? Because we have so many excuses. When MaZwane, you didn't have excuses. Slept at a salon. Everything was just an opportunity, you know.
Jump, next one. Hey, what
and
are
it's
we
not
doing
to
now?
say we are glorifying struggle, right? But it's just to say, it's challenged me to say, and Ursula has said, I read your chapter because you were coming here. But Ursula, who read the entire book, was saying, after each and everyone's story, you feel like, I'm just not doing enough.
Not doing enough.
Because you are similar to me, you also had a baby. So can I use the excuse of my kid, my demands, the channel? You know, it's like we can do so much more.
I love what you're saying, because you're bringing up an issue, a new era issue, where we're so cushioned and we're so soft. Having a child is the end of the world. Like, I can't do anymore. I'm doing so much. I always tell people, when people say, why don't you do that? I'm like, I'm doing too much. And then you read books like this and you're like,
I'm doing too little.
I'm doing too little. People are giving up their homes for their dream.
Yes.
You know, people are investing in their dream and they're saying, this is what I want to do. And, you know, these are the sacrifices. And just from a line in a book, imagine reading a line in a book and I come back and I change my whole life.
I'm going to go
crazy, guys.
Yeah,
you know?
give up my house.
And the truth is, like you're saying, people that look like MaZwane, in the sense that we all know Busy Corner. And I could have never for the life of me imagined that the backbone, because I mean, I also wanted to ask you this, but maybe it's a bit of a side note, you know, how does it feel? Because after you started Busy Corner, like you're saying, really your business was the backbone of the whole idea. Just then, you know, these franchises started popping up, and they usually, you know, I don't know, but I'm assuming it's you know. So I looked at that and I'm like, because we would all see it to say, hi, now all of a sudden, you know, there's these chisanyama in the mall and whatever. And how was that experience for you to say, guys, now what's going on? You know, that's definitely something I wanted to touch on. Like, we don't have a lot of time. And then also just the final lessons
it's fine.
that you want to impart.
Can
we touch on it? Okay, yes. So if you could just walk us through now, when everybody left, right, table. We've got a chisanyama little in the mouth, but we all know it came after Busy Corner. What was that experience like?
Let me, I'll try and be very short. 2, the first chisanyama that went to the malls. Yeah. It was more like a fast food.
Yes.
And it wasn't offering the experience. It wasn't offering you know, that African lifestyle.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, okay, for whatever reason, I knew that there gonna be a challenge here, because Shisanyama talks to our African culture, to heritage, you know. They will quickly pick up that, okay, this one is not about the experience.
It's inauthentic.
It's not authentic. Yes. That's the word. Yes. So, but then, when Shisanyamas, when they started copying, you know, I had people that would come to Busy Corner and ask for the owner. I know Max won't mind a lifestyle, Max lifestyle in Durban. He's one of those that came to me, Busy Corner, and looking for the owner and found a woman.
MaZwane.
And I was a woman, but I was young. I was young as you, you know. But in short, you know, when you feel like to be a way maker, you know, a game changer, because this is the industry. Yes, in food and beverage industry, there was nothing talking to an African lifestyle. Believe me when I say this, there was nothing, not much, except mangabe baba, no mama would go to shippings and taverns, uzobe kunabo jazz club lapo, but something that is formal, it was not there. So the fact that in South Africa today, you know, MaZwane commercialized this concept, Kashisanyama, that it's proudly South African #1, township grown, speaks to a value chain starting from livestock farming in the book, you know, and because at the end, I looked at it, and when you say how do I feel, I am proud of the fact that it's not like we're just consumers. If the consumer, in a sense that, even though I'm not manufacturing third industrial revolution, but I'm talking the sense that there is an industry. You know, like when you talk about taxi industries, in transport, that's an industry. In food and beverage, hospitality and tourism, There is an industry when someone comes, a tourist from America or from wherever, says, where can you take me? It doesn't matter where you are in the township. You say, where can I get Shisanyama? Because I know they will get an authentic experience. And to think that, you know, I created that. I cultivated that. I'm so proud. Yes. And coming quickly back to you, when Dr. Zwane actually first asked me to write Conquering Poverty of the Mind, there is a book that's Conquering Poverty of the Mind. He said to me, MaZwane, no. We want these stories. We want faces that looks like our mothers.
Yes.
A language that's, you know, that is familiar to us. We want you, something that when young people look at, they will see their mothers. And you're the person, let's write the book. For us to write that book, Conquering Poverty of the Mind, it was through Dr. Stephen Zwane who motivated me. When he came with the Rising from the Township, he says, no, dear, sorry. I said, but I've written the book already. He says, you are the matriarch of township economy. We want you here. So, yes.
Sure, I love it. And I also love this element of when people copy you, allow yourself to actually be honored by the fact that I'm a pioneer instead of being offended.
Yes.
You know, allow yourself to be like, oh,
yes. I did that.
I did this. I brought this. You know, instead of like, you know, because you're openly, you're saying Max name and you're saying it in a loving way to say, I know Max won't mind. Yes. You know, that shows that there's relationship. You were willing to impart and share, to say, this is how you do it. This is what you do. And creating, like you're saying, a whole little segment, an industry, Yachisanyama, as we know it today.
Yes.
So I love that because we want to hold and we want to hold on. Yes,
and sorry to interject there. Just the last one that I want to add, because you did say when you find them in the mall, how is it here that the ultimate expression of the experience Kashisanyama, MaZwane se ufake mall, a mall of tennis. Yeah, I've always been saying it's Africa's ultimate bright experience, but putting it in the mall, 3rd floor. Now I'm saying it is the ultimate expression of the experience. And you know what else I'm saying here? Why? In short, I'm saying it can't be all the time when we see shopping centers, we see tenants and we feel like we are excluded. But we are not getting in there to play the game as well. To face the challenges, because it's not easy to get into a retail space. I can tell you now, it's not easy. But until when? If we don't do it, you know, MaZwane, what about the generation that comes after us? You know, at the end, we'll keep saying malls come in and they take our space. But then, you know, with the load shedding and everything that is happening, now it's turning out to be that sometimes when we are in that space, people can also feel more safer. Because, you know, it's a formal space, security, and you've got the market right in front of you. But my motivation of getting into the mall, I said, if I don't show you confidence of this concept Kashisanyama and start plugging it into the malls, who else will? There are challenges, yes, but I'm the person who must face those challenges so that others can come in as well.
So currently, Ugatembisa Mall.
Yes, beautiful. You must see that one, Ashla.
I've seen it. I've seen the pictures, man.
It's New York.
I need to come.
No,
I agree. I've seen the pictures. Yes. No, ma, I hear you. And you know, like you're saying, showing confidence in some of these establishments in the township. And I think that was another thing around Chisanyama, because the idea is that one would have to leave the township to have like an upper market experience of Monati, you know, and then Chisanyama became this thing where like you could have this upmarket experience, you know, so you found people from Sentin saying Reakai, Chisanyama, you know, it became something where now it was feeding into, which like you're saying before, it was a tavern. It was a, you know, something that you wouldn't really stick around for. And so now you've created the space to say, guys, here, right here, you know, within the heart.
Even tying it, you know, packaging the experience, even tying it to Okawash. In my book and the Rising from the Township, I do write. It's there. Why? When Busy Corner started and it started growing and I saw the cars that were coming in, I knew that, okay, how do I keep them now? How do I keep these customers? Then I came up with the car wash. Hence you see, when you package Ushisanyama must have a car wash.
Yes.
But it came from that understanding to say, you know, you see these are exotic cars and you can see these people, they are not staying in townships. They are coming from, you know, from your nearest affluent suburbs. But there is something they are missing. You know, they miss like my home is when I go to visit my mom in villages. Their home is actually Ikasi Elokishini today. But when you see these cars, you can see that they can't just be meet and then they go, or they listen to music for about an hour. Let me have a car wash. Let me have a salon. Let's finish the package, you know. Yes, because these are the reasons. When I was doing that, I was actually saying, either than what everyone can do, either than, because business is like that, either than what is obvious, what everyone sees. How else do you keep your customers? What experience do you give your customers?
I've got so many questions around this, because one of the questions now that is coming up is to say, but I guess again it has to do with learning. If you can bring the mic closer to you, Mama. Is around this period, somebody is looking at you saying, where do you learn this? But you know, I like what you're saying around, I learned entrepreneurship from my mom, because we get so stuck in, I must go study business, go school. You know, and business maybe isn't the only example that I have, but there's so many things. You're talking about market research. You're talking about things that are modules at universities that you were learning, you know, from observing your mom. Because now you're talking about expansion, learning what it is to expand and
value chain,
you know. So I'm listening to you and I'm just like, how does somebody invest in self-education the way you have? You know, like you said, you picked up a book, you read it, and you said, I need to do something now. So what are some of the things you can share with us to say, this is how I invested in my own self-knowledge so that I can learn how to expand my business from the school of university of my mother, you know, and then, you know, just life and schooling like that.
Yeah. Investing in yourself, like buying books, that's number one, because that's what I did. And also, you know, the industry you want to be in. Find out what people are doing in that industry. Find out if you, with your vision, of course, how to grow when you are in that industry. Know the challenges. But more than anything, get into something that you really, really like.
Sure.
Because when you get to something that you like, you'll be able to bear even the challenges that you get along the way. So investing in yourself is just like making sure that you are aware of what is happening around or in that space for me. As for the talking about school, my son Usenzo, how he invested. Allow me to share this because I learned from my mother. Yena decided to go and do business studies at University of Cape Town. The same sense that I left with my sister, finished his degree, came back with the finance and economics degree, and says, you know what, I can find jobs anywhere else, but I think this is where I need to be. Exactly like what you did with your mom. If I can take this to the next level, let me do that. And now, he's married. He's got a daughter, you know,
Sure, Ma. Thank you. Can I ask for parting shots? Does anybody have a question? Ma. So somebody's listening. You're talking about lessons. You're talking about challenges. If you just want to round it off and just share any note that you feel we haven't touched on. Somebody who's listening to inspire us. Because I'm inspired, you know. So somebody else is listening at home saying, no, MaZwane looks like my mom. MaZwane looks like me. You know, what word do you have for them?
Ngicela ukisho ngesizulu. Into simple ethi uma you must be uncomfortable where you are. It's until you have that thing, I don't want to be here. You have that drive. That's the drive that will move you forward. You must be uncomfortable now khona. Mina ngesizulu indlala nenhlupheko iyona into engangiyisaba. Ngangekho comfortable. Ngangafuna ukuyi-embrace to embrace inhlupheko. Yes, so I had to do something to change the status quo back then.
Sure.
And uma wami sharing my mom's with you with everyone who's listening. Also, ilanga maliphuma ekseni, it's a new day. Even if yesterday whatever you were trying didn't work, but ilanga maliphuma the following day, it's a new day. Forge ahead.
Start something else.
Or
start again. Sure. Thank you so much for that. Ish, I don't want to leave it there, Ma. There's a point where you say, I'm so sorry to do this, but there's a point where you're talking about discomfort making you uncomfortable. And there's a point where you say that, you even said it now in the interview, to say that if your mom had known how you were suffering in Joburg, she would have sent somebody to fetch you.
Yes.
And you say that that's always been your mom's principle, to say, kwa Joburg. When you have a home here at home, come back home.
Yes.
And even in your discomfort, because the easy option is to say, hey, let me go back home. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So in your looking for comfort, don't look for the easiest way. Really look for what your heart desires, So,
and
I
God gives you what your heart desires.
Oh. Sure.
God gives you the desires of your heart.
Hey,
yeah. You dream. The vision is yours. You pray, because that's what I let me not say I still do a lot from my mom. God's ears are listening. From your mouth to his ears.
To his ears.
Yes.
Sure.
And that's the very important part that I did not touch on. We'll talk about that.
Definitely. Book 3.
The thing that comes to my mind immediately is when you talk about how one of the inspirations for your businesses was because your mother didn't have money to go to church. And you knew how much that affected your mother. So you're like, never again can my mother not go to church. Yes. And at that point, you were still in high school.
Yes.
Sure. So guys, essentially get the book.
Get the book. Oh yes, let me hold it up. Like I said, it's an array of like other entrepreneurs as well, rising from the township. This book,
link in description.
Yes, we'll have the link as well. You can also get it at Exclusive Books. It's all over. Yeah, it's lovely. Okay, so that was today's episode of The Conversation Capital. Most importantly, like, share, subscribe, comment. We love you guys so much. For now though, goodbye and God bless.